Yeah. Eyebrows. Hey.
Got a plum, right?
That's right.
No, pretty much. Disease that's involuntarily.
Yeah.
Our body, it's funny. Eyebrows.
Right. Yeah, I have a friend like that too.
You know, it's weird.
Yeah, it is. Like the Adams family. What the guy's name? The Adams family. No, the one that has no hair. Is that Adams family or is that? I can't remember what his name is. I don't. It may not be Adams family.
No, it's not the Adams family. The weird one on that one's the hand.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
Flew on an airplane with a guy that said that was his job.
To be the head.
He was
Really?
interesting.
Yeah.
So he was telling us that
When would they use it?
to get on there, they had to stop filming it because the fire was so hard.
That would be funny.
Were they fed up with
Good, sir. Hey, Daniel. All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Packed house, I love to see that. It's always exciting. How many people have heard Dr. Jeff speak before? Awesome. So a whole bunch of new faces. So this is super exciting. I met Dr. Jeff about a year ago. Started connecting over these essential oils, and really he's trained me or taught me how to use these effectively, and I've seen just a massive difference in the health of my family, especially with my daughter. We use them with our pets. We use them every single day for ourselves, and seen such an amazing change. And what the coolest thing about essential oils is it gives you the tools. These plants that God put on the earth, these are all natural, but it gives you the tools to be able to put your health in your own hands, whether that's a fever or a virus or an ear infection or you're not sleeping well. Essential oils, these compounds have these amazing chemical properties, which Dr. Jeff is going to talk about, which enable you to be able to put your health in your own hands and really be empowered to not necessarily run to every time you get sick, run to the antibiotic or the Tylenol or those things. It really puts health in your own hands. So really what we want to do before we get started, Dr. Jeff is an expert at the chemical and the biological processes of these. And so he's going to go through specific diseases and specific conditions and exactly how to use these oils. So before we do that, I want to make sure everybody has a pen. Ready? Yep. So you're going to be taking notes tonight, right? So make sure you're taking notes. I want to tell you exactly how to use them, and he's going to tell you what to use them for. So a lot of people, this ends up being a big question that people have is, how do I use essential oils? Because you can put them on your skin, right? You can take them internally, and you can diffuse them. If you notice, we have the diffuser going over there. And so we just kind of want to address that first before we go into this too much, because they're all effective and they all have different ways that they work. And so anybody, if you guys remember, who was here last time? If you're using essential oils therapeutically, do you remember how often you should use them?
Every 4 hours.
Every 4 hours. That's awesome. And how many drops every 4 hours?
3.
3 drops. She was taking notes. That's awesome. Has everybody got that? 3 drops, 4 hours. So what about if you're diffusing them? Remember? About 10 drops every 4 hours of diffusing for those. So you're not doing that yet? I was like, yeah, I'm about at like 6 or 7 right now. And then when you put them on your skin, I want to make sure that you put them on your skin. Same thing, 3 drops. But within 30 seconds, those essential oils have gone through every single cell in your body. They're completely systemic if you put them on your skin within a couple minutes. So that's a really cool way to do them. Is there something else?
Yeah, so like internal, a lot of people, like I love ingesting essential oils. We'll pass them around, and then if you want to ingest them, you can. But if you prefer not to ingest oils, then topical use and internal use, you get very similar results. So like our infant Mila, she's 8 months old. She's had oils on her every day since birth, but we don't like put them in her mouth because they're pretty powerful. So putting them on the bottom of her feet, she still gets a systemic benefit. They're in every cell in the body within a few minutes. So if you prefer to ingest. If you prefer to use topically, but you really get the same results. And like Dr. Ryan said, if you're treating something, you're going to reapply every 4 hours. And if you're using 5 oils at once, use 3 drops of all 5 oils. Cool?
Yes.
Any questions about usage? Because when we're going through different protocols and different things, people will always ask, well, what do I use for this? Or what do I use for blood pressure? And we're like, these are the oils used for blood pressure. Well, how do I use them? 3 drops every 4 hours until it's either gone or if it's your lifelong protocol. Cool?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
You said every ingestion versus topically. What's the difference? Why would you ingest versus not use it topically?
Just preference.
Been more effective.
No. If you don't want to smell like the oil, ingest it. It's a little faster acting if you ingest it, but not a whole lot.
Improves your breath.
Really good for your breath. Yeah. You can kiss your wife. It's up.
If you're diffusing and it's too strong, 10 drops?
Yeah.
No?
Just back it down.
Is it still beneficial?
For sure, yeah, it's all to your preference.
Okay.
So 10 drops per a 4-hour diffuser is like the standard. And then if you want stronger, use more. Like we have 3 dogs in my office. The dogs live in my office,
Right.
and they're stinky. So we diffuse a lot. So that would be a situation where you do more than 10, but you can do less and you're effective. Yeah.
I don't think you mentioned the steaming effect there.
Pardon me?
You didn't mention the steaming effect.
That's diffusing.
Or whatever, diffusing.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you mention that. Did you mention that?
Yeah, so diffusing, okay, so let me.
It sounded like you said, ingesting is pretty good.
Cool. For emotional benefit and purifying the air, that's why we'll diffuse. So like my mom, for example, she's 66 this year, 67 this year. She was diagnosed with Parkinson's 7 years ago. And she has her oil protocol, and we'll go through it. She uses every 4 hours while she's awake. She doesn't like set the alarm to wake up to use her oils. But she uses those topically and she ingests them, and that keeps her Parkinson's from progressing. She hasn't progressed from the early stages of Parkinson's for 7 years. She's doing the best out of all the patients that her neurologist sees. He's like, keep using your oils, you're doing amazing. I can't recommend them or I'll get fired because I have to follow protocol. But with all that being said, if she was to diffuse the oils that is part of her protocol, she wouldn't get the result. Because you get it emotionally and for purifying the air, but not the physiologic change in our body by diffusing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Other questions about usage before we really get into
If you do, because I do a rollerball,
Yep.
now, obviously you pre-mix that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, when you're using it, are you still? I mean,
Yeah,
is
so
that-
Leslie's question is, if you're, like some of the oils that we have come in rollers that have fractionated coconut oil in them. So this is a great question, then we don't have to talk about this later.
Okay.
So this is good. When you use an oil topically, let's say, I'm just gonna grab frankincense. So if I put frankincense on my skin and rub it in, about 1/3 of the oil is gonna evaporate before it absorbs into your bloodstream, because these are volatile molecules, meaning they're very light, they evaporate very quickly. So to counteract that, we always use a carrier oil. Like fractionated coconut oil is by far the best. Fractionated coconut oil is always a liquid. The fats are broken up, so regardless of, I guess in Florida it doesn't, but your coconut oil is always liquid.
Yeah,
No?
it does. It's like-
Turn the AC on, it gets hard. Well, in Chicago, it's always hard. But fractionated coconut oil is always a liquid. It's very light. It absorbs right into your skin, so it's the best carrier oil by far. You can use others. Fractionated coconut oil is the best. And when you're making, like Leslie asked, when you're making a blend, so we'll go through some of these protocols, and when you make your own blend in a roller bottle, let's say there's 5 oils in here. These roller bottles contain 160 drops. So if you use 5 essential oils, you're gonna do 1 part fractionated coconut oil. You guys follow me? Mm-hmm. So you do 160 divided by 6. That's how many drops of each essential oil and fractionated coconut oil you put in the roller. If you use 4 oils, you divide it by, you add 1 part coconut oil, so 160 divided by 5. Cool?
Yeah.
You guys got it?
So that's the same as using the 3, like the 3 drops that you've already pre-mixed in your own blend, for example.
Yeah, so when you use a roller bottle, I just go up and down like
That's- yeah.
5 or 6 times, you know?
Yeah.
This is Jasmine, so it's amazing. So. All right, any other questions? Yes?
Well, if you're allergic to coconut,
If you're allergic to coconut, then are you allergic to coconut oil? Coconut oil? Okay, then use the best, you can use almond oil, jojoba oil. Just choose any other carrier oil that you're not allergic to.
avocado oil.
Avocado oil is good. Some of those heavy nut oils the fats are too big so they don't absorb in your skin. So like even, but jojoba oil would be a really good one because that's pretty light too. That'd probably be the best one. Allergies. If you're allergic to pollen or flowers or lavender or whatever, you will not be allergic to essential oils because allergens are proteins. There's no proteins in essential oils. Well, these essential oils. Other essential oils that you get at Whole Foods and all the health food stores around here, all of those oils are adulterated. They contain synthetic molecules. They have fillers in them. You can be allergic to those. So the oils that you get around town at Whole Foods or health food stores, those oils might smell like the plant, but you will never get a therapeutic result using those oils. And one of the reasons why is because, is this good? Are you guys learning something so far? Yeah. I'm like totally off script. Is that okay? Yeah. I never have a script. For example, like wild orange, all citrus oils, and this is just an example. There's about 50 different molecules in a citrus oil. Only one molecule is aromatic, meaning, so that molecule is called limonene. Limonene as a molecule gives off an aroma. The other 49 molecules in the oil do not smell at all. But in order to get the result, you have to have the synergy effect of all of those molecules together, and that's what gives us the result, which we'll talk about citrus oils. So what essential oil companies will do is they will synthetically make limonene in a lab, put it in like an alcohol base or a different type of base, and you'll open it and you'll be like, oh, it smells like smells like orange, because it just contains limonene, but it's synthetic. And on the bottle, it will always say for external use only, do not ingest. And most authentic essential oils are able to be ingested, and if they can be ingested, they have a food label on them. So that's how you know an authentic oil versus a synthetic oil. And the other way that you know that is because you can go to Whole Foods and buy like a wild orange oil for like $2. You can't. It's impossible to get an authentic oil for that cheap, because it takes 45 lemon rinds or wild orange rinds to make one bottle. Cool? All right. Any other questions before we kind of get into it? Yeah.
So are you saying that the perfume blends that they sell are more for potpourri and things like that rather than human use?
Yeah, so great question. So all colognes, all perfumes, all cheap, like what's labeled as an essential oil, those are all synthetic molecules. Synthetic molecules in perfumes and colognes are, like if you're, raise your hand if you wear a perfume. Just be honest. I used to wear cologne. Raise your hand high. My mom still buys the Nantucket from Evelyn Crabtree. So, yeah, perfumes and colognes, those synthetic oils, they do three things. They disrupt your hormones. They're carcinogens, meaning they cause cancer. And they build up toxic overload in our liver. That's what's wrong. So if you wear perfumes and colognes, you need to throw it away if you value your health at all. If you don't value your health, keep wearing it. But if you do value your health, you need to throw that away and start using essential oils, because now you get the aroma, and then also you get the benefit of the molecules in the oil, which we'll cover tonight. Yeah.
Okay, so you use a spritz of perfume, no matter how good that's bad for you?
Yes.
All these years, they've been selling perfume, you've all worn them, and you're saying it's bad?
Yes. That's not my opinion.
That's true.
Yeah.
Where did you get that from?
What's that?
I'm joking.
All right. Yeah.
So you said, and first time I went, you said it takes 45 rinds or 45 oranges to make one bottle.
Yes.
How many people do you figure in the world are using this product?
We have 7 million customers of doTERRA currently.
Of your product?
Yes.
So you're using, you need a lot of orange trees.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just doing the math in my head and I'm going, wow.
3.5 billion.
So, great, man. What's your name?
Mark?
Mark. I'm Jeff. By the way, I'm Jeff. Yeah. Great question. The only way where we can get the potency of the molecules in the essential oil, and also the quantity of plants or fruit or whatever the oil is distilled from or pressed from. doTERRA, we source our oils from 50 countries in the world, because certain countries, certain areas, regions of the world grow plants the best. Certain plants. Like, we can grow lavender in Fort Myers here, but our lavender is grown on the shores of the Black Sea in Bulgaria. That lavender's chemistry is radically different than any other lavender in the world. And so we'll cover lavender and what it's good for, but in order to get the therapeutic result, we have to have the potency of the chemistry of that essential oil. And how we get that is by sourcing from certain areas of the world. And then also, we have to have the landowners that are experts in growing those plants and fruits. So like our lemon comes from a third generation a grower in Sicily. They have this massive lemon production. That's where we get all of our lemon oil from.
Well, it'd have to be hundreds of thousands of acres to grow that many lemons.
When
you know, if you think about it.
Oh yeah, it's massive.
It'd be better to get into the fruit growing business.
Let me tell you, can I?
Catch on and get people starting to use this.
This is great. I love conversational classes. Let me tell you a story. So if you guys want to learn and meet the growers, if you want to know about any oil that doTERRA has, you can go on YouTube and say like lemon doTERRA, and it's going to pull up our sourcing video. And you can meet the farmers, how they do it. But then also, there's a website, you guys will want to know this, source2u.com. Source2u.
T-O.
Source2u.com.
Y-O-U, right?
Yep, Y-O-U. Nothing fancy and nothing like millennial about Source2u. It's just like how you spell the words. If you go to that website, you can learn all about our sourcing model. But what's really critical, and the reason why my wife and I decided to dedicate our lives to teaching plant-based medicine and teaching specifically about doTERRA essential oils, is because this is the only company that publicly discloses their testing out of all the essential oil companies in the world. And the reason why we disclose them publicly is because we have the best, and when you have the best, you can tell everybody you have the best and show you have nothing to hide behind. And that's one of the reasons why we have about 150 research university hospital partners in the US alone that use our oils in their protocols with their patients. Johns Hopkins is one of them, Duke, Vanderbilt, all of the Mayo in Rochester in Minnesota, all the major hospital systems in the US use our oils in their protocols. And the reason why they will only use doTERRA is because of the potency. So there's, at Source 2, you can plug in, on the bottom of every bottle is a lot number, and you can plug in that number, and it's gonna pull up the testing of that oil. It's gonna show every single molecule that's in the oil, whether that oil is adulterated or authentic. It's gonna be authentic because you're holding the bottle. They won't release it unless it's authentic, but the testing is public. Yes?
So I use lavender on my dog's collars.
Yeah.
Can you let dogs ingest?
If they want to, like some dogs
Okay.
will, some dogs won't. Yeah.
Okay.
Great place for animals is on the tips of their ears. Yeah. Yeah. And animals, you're gonna dilute, like with a carrier oil with essential oil on a human, you're gonna do a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you're using 3 drops of essential oil, use 3 drops of coconut oil. Cool? With an animal, 10-to-1. Because you want them to have a good experience and they're powerful.
So Jeff, just, and you may get into this, but in terms of, efficacy when they're using oils, therapeutically on your skin or ingesting them, if your diet is horrible, so if you're just eating, just processed food, and are you gonna still have the same effectiveness, or is it gonna be better if you're doing, clean eating and really paying attention to
Such a
your
good
body?
question. Great question. The question was, if your nutrition is terrible and you use essential oils, are they still going to be beneficial? And our answer to that is always, it's kind of like anything that you do that's healthy. Like if you're not doing nutrition right, you better be using oils. You better be getting adjusted because you're going to be in bad shape if you don't have some sort of positive influence in your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the efficacy does not change because for the next 4 hours after you use an oil, the cellular physiology of our body changes regardless of your nutrition. Cool. So the last thing, this is in relation to Mark's question. I'm going to pass this around. This is one of our new oils. It's green mandarin. It's one of my favorites. It just has such a bright, amazing aroma. So when these are going around, feel free to smell them, put them on if you want. If it has a food label, put a drop in your mouth. But green mandarin comes from, let me tell you, well first, real quick, write this down you guys. Put citrus oils. And there's 3 main benefits to citrus oils, and all citrus oils have really the same benefits because the major molecule is limonene. And the 3 main benefits of citrus oils are they're very anti-cancer. Second benefit is they're powerful detoxifiers. They're great for our liver and kidneys. They're very cleansing essential oils for our body. And then lastly, they're incredibly emotionally uplifting. So like when your husband's driving you crazy, just diffuse some citrus or dump some on them and dump some on yourself.
Will it work the other way around?
It'll work the other way around. So here's the example. We work with a handful of memory care centers. And in memory care centers, they give, like my grandfather passed away last year. He lived in a memory care center, he had Alzheimer's. But anytime a resident gets agitated, they give him Ativan. It's not like prescribed, the nurse is just here, take it. Ativan's a psychotropic drug, it's dangerous long term, it can have horrendous side effects. But in the memory care centers that we work with, we diffuse citrus oils during the day because they're very emotionally balancing, very emotionally uplifting. And then once evening comes, they start diffusing oils that are calming. Like lavender and serenity, which is a blend. If you're new, you're gonna get serenity for free with your order. But in all the memory care centers that we work with, within the first month, the Ativan use drops about 50%. And the residents, they don't even know they're breathing these molecules in, but they're breathing them in, it's helping their brain, they're much calmer, they're much happier. So that's citrus oil. So to get to Mark's question, with green mandarin, the other oil that you're gonna get for free if you're new with your order is red mandarin. Like we can't even buy red mandarin.
It's awesome.
It's only a promotion right now. And the reason why, so green mandarin comes from southern Brazil. This is cool. Do you guys like the backstory? So green mandarin is super cool. It's from southern Brazil, And we went down there last year, and we talked to the farmer because we wanted to do red mandarin as a promotion. And red mandarin is pretty rare. There's not enough of it to have it added to the lineup. So we were talking to the growers, and we saw them they trim about 75% of the fruit, the unripened fruit, which is the green. You all know what red mandarin is? They go to the grocery store, you know those little oranges? Get them in the bag and they're so good. That's a red mandarin. Yeah, I mean there's small oranges, but mostly it's a mandarin. And so they trim all the fruit, they just threw it away. The unripened, because in order to get a red mandarin, a ripened mandarin, you have to remove and trim about 75% of the fruit while it's unripened in order for it to ripen. So we went down, we pressed the oil out of the green mandarin, and it's incredibly unique chemistry. So we're like, there's enough of this where we can add it to the lineup. And so what used to be a waste product, now for those growers, that waste product funds the entire operation for a full year, and now their red mandarin is now all of their profits. Isn't that cool? And this has been a waste product for decades. So now, how'd you guys, the oil is incredible. Yeah, it's amazing. So every oil has a story like this that we have. Yeah.
I've been studying about the biome and the gut problem that most people are having anymore. And so I was wondering what the prebiotics are and checked into that. And I found out, or what I found out, is that prebiotics are things like the peel of the citrus.
Yeah.
And the membrane, and that kind of thing in the food. Is that correct? Or does that then make this an even more beneficial oil?
Yes. The answer is yes. So ingesting oils that way, the oils that you can ingest, almost all the oils that we ingest are incredibly powerful for our gut. And we'll go through some of those.
I'm just thinking of all the peel and things that we throw away, oranges, grapefruit, lemons, wines.
Yeah, but if you just eat the peel, you're not hardly getting any oil because, yeah, it has to be from Sicily or Brazil and most of the stuff isn't from, you know. All right, cool. Any other questions before we get into the basics? Yeah.
You were saying about if you buy some oils that they really aren't authentic. If they're organic, does that make any difference at all or not?
Yeah, good question. The question is, does it make a difference if they say organic on the label? The answer is no, it doesn't make any difference because a molecule is organic. So yeah, they're right, but it's a synthetic molecule and then you don't have anything else. And then on the label, if you just look at all the major retail oil brands, they all say therapeutic grade, they all say organic, but they all say for external use only, never ingest. So that's kind of your warning sign. There's not a lot of FDA regulation around this because you can't patent a plant.
Okay, I got kind of a question that spins off of that. I have a girlfriend that does doTERRA. I used to have it, but now I was ordering it off Amazon.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't do that because she says
don't
it
do
can
that.
be tampered even though it says doTERRA and it's sealed and everything. She says they get around that and they can tamper with it. Is that?
Yeah, you don't want to buy them from third parties because you can easily take the top off, fill it with synthetic cheap oils, put the top back on. When you open it, it'll feel like it's sealed. So we've had a lot of that. Yeah. You just want to get it straight from the company. Any other, before we go, any thoughts, questions? Mark, are you good? Are you good? Cool. All right, let's get into this. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through some of the basics. So just, we're going to go through 5 of the basic oils. These oils, if you look at your sheet, or if you open up to the 3rd page, if you're new, it's called the Home Essentials Kit. And that's really the basic. If you're brand new, this is the kit that we're going to recommend you purchase. And the Home Essentials Kit has 10 oils and a diffuser, and then you get those 2 for free right now, Serenity and Red Mandarin. But the Home Essentials Kit is $275. That's the oils that the next 5 oils I'm going to talk about the most powerful 5 in that kit. So before you leave tonight, if you decide you want to order, then you're at a minimum going to get those basic 10 out of the kits that are available. Cool? All right, so the first one that I want to talk about is the king and What's the king? Who can tell me what the king is?
Frankincense.
Frankincense. Do we have it? Amber, do you have another one for this side? Cool. So I'm gonna, when I give them to this side of the room, you guys just go straight back. Can you collect them? Yeah. What's your name? Jody. Yeah, there's nobody behind you. And then when this side, can you collect them in the back? Yeah. Just when all the oils are gonna funnel to you. So we'll pass one on each side. So frankincense. Where's the first place you ever heard frankincense?
The Bible.
The Bible. What else did you hear with frankincense? Myrrh. What else? Gold. We don't want gold, we want frankincense and myrrh. Thank you. All right, so this one on this side. This one on this side. All right, so frankincense. The reason why we call this the king of essential oils, and the reason why the wise men brought it to Jesus is because frankincense and myrrh, both, in weight, was worth more than gold in weight back then. And so this was a very valuable gift. The reason why it was so valuable is because if you have any condition, if you have any problem emotionally, physically in your body, frankincense is an oil. It has very diverse chemistry and it helps with everything. So a couple benefits. So for my mom, for example, with Parkinson's, frankincense stimulates dopamine receptors in our brain. So if you have an autoimmune disease like MS, Parkinson's, ALS, if you have depression, if you have anxiety, frankincense is an oil that you're going to be wanting to use on a daily basis because it stimulates multiple different neurotransmitter receptor sites in our brain, and then we get an incredible result from using them. So like for my mom, for example, for 4 hours after she uses these oils, or frankincense, her tremors are almost zero with Parkinson's. So she almost has zero. Her symptoms almost completely go away.
That would work tremors as well.
Yes. Frankincense will stop seizures on the spot. And one of the cool things about frankincense, so I'm just going to tell you like our favorite way to use it. My favorite way to use it is 3 drops under your tongue in the morning and night. I use it twice a day. And then it's the most powerful anti-aging oil. So the reason why it's anti-aging is because the molecules in frankincense repair genetic damage to our DNA. So for example, like if you have a chronic disease, that's one of the reasons we love chiropractic is because when you get adjusted, a molecule is released called serum thiol that repairs genetic damage to our DNA. So the longer you get adjusted, the healthier your organs are, the more disease reverses. Same concept with frankincense. The longer you use it consistently, the healthier your cells are, meaning the healthier your organs and immune system are, and the less disease you have. But you have to use it consistently and daily to get these results. So you can't just use an oil once and be like, oh, I'm good. You know, you have to use them daily and consistently to get the long-term benefits. So the best, like my wife, if she was here, she's beautiful, she's amazing. Can I tell you a quick story? You know how amazing my wife is? We have combined 5 children from 19 to 8 months. And Mila, our 8-month-old, so we were planning a home birth. It was my wife's first home birth. Her other 3 children were epidurals in the hospital. And so when we met, I'm like, you know, we're just doing a home birth. This is what we do, you know. And so she's like, all right, I'm excited for this. So we had our home birth, but from the time our midwives lived an hour away. From the time the water broke to Mila being born was 20 minutes. And she was Frank Breech, which is an automatic C-section if you're in the medical system.
What's Frank Breech?
Frank Breech is you come up butt first, folded like a taco.
Yeah, I had one like that.
Yeah.
We called it double breech.
Yeah. It's just a variation of normal. People freak out, but it's just a variation. But anyway, so it was just her and I literally behind the couch. Our couch is like in the middle of the living room. And she like went down, and my other daughter was born at home, so I was like an expert at this point. We delivered her, and it was amazing and perfect. But it was was quite the experience.
Wow.
But we were diffusing oils. Mila's had been oiled up from birth, and it's awesome. So anyway, that's a side note. But frankincense was on the oils we were diffusing, and frankincense was the first oil we put on Mila. Because when you don't know what else to use frankincense, because frankincense has the chemistry and it helps heal our body. It's very, very powerful. So when you mix it with your moisturizer, like 3 drops with your moisturizer, put it on your face, your skin becomes radiant, glowing. It's amazing for your skin. So this is an oil to have in your bathroom, so then you put 3 drops on every time you wash your face, or 3 drops in your mouth. And again, whether you use it topically or internally, you still get the systemic benefits. Cool? Yeah.
You said it stops seizures
Immediately.
Where do you put it?
Anywhere.
Does it work on animals as well?
Yes. Yep.
Is all of the products animal friendly?
All of them. Don't Google whether an oil is safe for animals, because there's a lot of opinions that aren't valid. All oils are safe for animals, all animals. Yeah. Cool. All right, next. So next one I'm going to do is On Guard. On Guard, this is one of our blends. Yes.
Yeah, we had
an emergency issue with a dog, probably a couple years ago, and we put tea. She's really bad ear infections. The lab gets really bad ear infections. We put tea through in her ear. We did.
Well,
We put tea through in her ear. Automatic emergency room.
well,
Yeah.
it took a few hours, but thank God, in the middle of the night, I told him something's not right with her, and he said, look, we'll see her in the morning, and I just had this feeling, and I put the flashlight on her, and she was just like rocking back
Yeah.
and forth, and I called, and they said, she's not being hurt, if you don't get her to her within the hour, she's gonna. It's Caroline,
Yeah.
And
What?
she's.
Is that because it was synthetic?
That's because it was a synthetic Melaleuca.
So
the
if we
tea
were to
tree
put doTERRA tea through her ear,
would have been safe.
would have been safe.
But again, if you're using, Melaleuca is one of those, but if you use it on if you use it on your dog, like we use it on we have 3 dogs.
It would be diluted.
Yeah, do 10 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah, diluted.
10 carrier oil.
10 carrier to 1. So like a teaspoon per 1 drop. Yeah, and you never put it directly in the ear. You want to put it like on the tips. Yeah. Same with humans. Like you don't, if your kid has an ear infection, basil is the oil you use. You don't put basil in the ear. You put it along the neck. So there's some places you don't put oils in your mouth, or I'm sorry, in your eye, and in your ear. Everywhere else is good. And if you get them in your eye, like my daughter Tegan, she got deep blue, which is like she broke her. She got, I was working out and last weekend and I pulled the rib head out, and I wasn't near a chiropractor, so I was like, babe, you gotta put deep blue on me. And so I laid on the floor, she put deep blue on, rubbed it in, and then she like rubbed her eye. So if you get oils in your eye, and she knows this is not the first time, but you just put coconut oil and put coconut oil all over, and it just dilutes it and it doesn't burn anymore. So answer your question? Okay, cool. So On Guard. On Guard is one of our basics. This is the one that we use a ton traveling. All the hospital systems diffuse On Guard. This is a wonderful oil to be diffusing all the time in your home. It kills mold. It kills 70, this is research out of Johns Hopkins University. On Guard kills 70 different pathogens. So the best way put it in your mouth. It's kind of spicy if you're new. When you travel, put it on before you go on the plane, the train, the automobile, whatever, and then accidentally dump some on your neighbor as well.
You know what I do with the On Guard? I take a small spray bottle with distilled water, and I put a few drops of On Guard, and I put a drop of oregano oil, and I use it on my hands as a sanitizer, and I spray it in my throat, especially if I'm around anybody who's sick.
Oh yeah,
I usually have
all
that
the
on
time.
all the time, yes.
All the time. They do. They have a sanitizing spray now.
Right here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Leslie has it. The sanitizing spray is awesome. But On Guard, here's a cool story about On Guard. This is like way back when I first started doing and teaching about doTERRA. A teacher was in one of my first classes, and he was an elementary school teacher, and he's like, after the class, he came up, he's like, I gotta tell you the story. I've been diffusing On Guard in my class for the last few weeks. He's like, the science room is next to my classroom. And after about a week, the science teacher came into my room, he's like, so the blend it has cinnamon and clove in it, and peppermint, wild orange, and eucalyptus. But he's like, I'm always smelling eucalyptus and cinnamon and clove in my room. What's going on over here? And the teacher who was in the class was like, oh, we've been diffusing this oil, it's amazing, it kills 70 different pathogens. He's like, oh my gosh, that's why. He's like, nothing is growing in my petri dish. So I'll never forget that story. But that's On Guard, so this is why we diffuse it. We use it every single day. This is one of the basics. The 5 that I'm going to talk about before we get into some of the protocols are all daily use oils for everybody in your family. And you can use it topically, you can ingest it, you can diffuse it, but make sure On Guard is an oil that you're using.
Would On Guard be something you could put in cleaning products?
Yes. Well, we have a whole line of On Guard cleaning products. So we have, and everything from doTERRA is 100% botanical. There's not a synthetic molecule in any one of our products. So On Guard has its own line. So it has foaming hand soap, it has the cleaner concentrate, laundry detergent, and then all the toothpaste is awesome. One last thing, which is why we love ingesting On Guard and benefit of ingesting it. After you brush your teeth, just put a drop or 2 in your mouth or put it on your toothpaste or on your toothbrush. Raise your hand if you go to the dentist. Okay, after you get your teeth clean, they polish your teeth. What they polish your teeth with, it's called chlorhexidine. Now follow this. Chlorhexidine prevents plaque buildup. Chlorhexidine is synthetic eugenol. Eugenol is the major molecule in clove essential oil. So clove essential oil, which is one of the oils in On Guard,